Hi, thanks for joining me again at Lotus Thai Massage Studios, where I'll be showing you a really lovely restorative pose called Viparita Karani, or legs up the wall. One of the reasons I love this pose, I find it super de-stressing. It allows our perspective to be altered and changed from where we are. And why it does that is because oftentimes our bodies are standing or sitting. All the fluids are always going into our legs. All the pressure is going into our legs. And in this pose, we are going into a relaxation pose where our legs are going to be above our heart, sending the fluids back down into the pelvis. I find it really wonderful when I'm very stressed or when my legs or feet are really tired. Sometimes when I have a headache, this is a pose that I go to. So I'm going to show it to you and you can explore and see what it does for you. Anyway, so let's start. So in Viparita Karani, we're going to need a few supports to make it a really comfortable pose. In restorative yoga, we often sit in a pose for 10 or 15 minutes and sometimes even longer. So you really want to have supports around you. And supports will look like blankets, blocks, or belts. Okay? I love to use blankets, and I'm sure you have a lot around your house. We're all in our house in isolation, and I'm sure there's pillows and blankets everywhere. So just grab them and have a bunch in a big pile for you, just so you can make sure that you get the most out of this pose. So the first thing I want to do is I want to place my first support, which I'm going to use 2 blankets. This is going to support my pelvis to stay in the right position and comfortably with my legs up the wall. So I'm going to show you how to place the blankets in the right spot. I like to use my hand as a measurement. So the width of my hand is going to be how far the blanket is going to be from the wall. So I just place my hand here against the wall and I place my blankets right at the tip of my thumb. That's usually a good spot. Now you're probably thinking, how am I going to get my legs up the wall? There's no way I can do that. Like, this is going to be really hard. But I'm going to show you a trick to do that. And don't worry, there's always a little bit of squirming and squabbling and nobody can see you anyway, right? So first thing I do is I just sit my pelvis, my bum, just halfway onto the blankets. Okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hands behind me for support. And I'm going to lean back on my hands and I'm kind of going to wiggle my pelvis, come onto my elbows, and then finally with my legs up the wall. Now, this is available to me because I have a lot of flexibility in my hamstrings. So this doesn't cause me any pain at all. But that isn't going to be the story for everybody. And the most important part of restorative yoga is to be pain-free. That is super, super important. So this is where you're going to learn loving kindness towards yourself and compassion. We are all have different bodies with different stories. So it's all about coming to what is, not about trying to make your body something it isn't. So what I want you to do, if you feel pain in your hamstrings, is you're just going to bend your knees a little bit. Okay? The other option is you can take your straps, you can lean up or get up and move your bolster or your blankets farther away from the wall. So this will allow more space and less stress on your hamstrings. The other thing I want to say is that you might find that your neck or shoulders are uncomfortable. And in restorative yoga, it's really important to be comfortable. So we take the time to make the adjustments to support our body so we can deeply relax without discomfort. So if your shoulders are uncomfortable, you can basically just put a blanket right underneath your shoulders. And also, if you happen to have something like a very rounded back, which we call kyphosis in massage, that makes the neck, when you lay down, kind of buckle up. So you really want to support it. So I would say take a blanket and you can just roll it and put it right underneath your neck. So in this pose, another thing that I like to use is I like to use a belt. Because we're in this pose for 10 or 15, sometimes 20 minutes, What happens when you start relaxing as your legs can start slipping down the wall. And nobody really wants to be activating anything if they don't have to in a restorative pose. So we try to set things up ahead of time so that we can totally fully relax and just be in the pose for as long as possible. And so what you're going to do is you basically just take your yoga strap or a belt or a rope or a scarf. I've used scarves, I've used all sorts of things. And you're going to just strap it around the thighs comfortably. So make sure it's at a width that feels comfortable to you. I like hip width. For people that are narrower in the hips, they can have their feet together. Whatever feels comfortable to you, just experiment. And once you're there, in the position that you like, I'm going to just remove this for a minute because I've run out of blankets. Uh-oh, the teacher doesn't have enough props. This is not good. What I like to do, because I'm going to be here for 10 or 15 minutes and I'm on the floor, is I like to use a blanket. The blanket also allows this weight to be on me, which helps me to be relaxed. So once you're in the Viparita Karani position, now all you have to do is to breathe and relax. So let's just take, once we're here, 3 deep breaths together. Great. And I'm just going to show you really quick how to safely get out of this pose. So I'm going to release my strap. Put it to the side. I'm going to release my support. If you can lift, don't worry about it. You don't have to. You can still just roll onto your side very carefully, using your arms to help support you. And come to sitting. Thanks for joining me for this really quick workshop, and I hope you could see enough of that pose to kind of get the gist of what we're talking about. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. I'd love to answer any of your questions or help you to find modifications so that you can enjoy this wonderful, wonderful pose. Thanks so much for joining me, and I wish you a blessed day and stress-free, of course. Namaste.